Hi, Scorpio, and welcome to my channel, The Guided Intuitive, and thank you so much for being here. We're going to do something different. I'm going to be adding in, this is going to be a timeless read for your life purpose, and what we're going to do is talk a little bit about what you are, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and then combine them both and see what happens and see what that looks like, all right? I know a lot of you are kind of sifting and sorting and going through some of the changes in life right now. Many of us are, and it's about us coming together and determining what do we want in our lives, and it has us thinking long term. Okay, it really has us thinking long term on how we want to leave our legacy and how we would like to live our life moving forward. And even if the change is not happening right now, hopefully this will give you some hopeful insight as to where you're at. And of course, as this being a general read, if you're looking for a personal read that taps into your own personal energies, go to theguidedintuitive.com up here or in my description box below. All right, so here we go. Now, also for those of you that are definitely looking to make a change and want to really move forward on their life purpose and want to get clear, what I focus on in terms of my coaching is strategy and soul, and I combine them both. And that's how I feel. I've got a strategy side of my business, which is completely separate from my soul side here, but I do combine them, those mindsets, because I think it's incredibly important to create the life and the that you really desire, and that you really want to see yourself living moving forward. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. But for those of you that want to take it a step further, go to the discovery session up here. I'll put that link up here, and it's also in my description box below if you miss it, so you can check it out. All right, so it's some complimentary time for us to get together and then make a recommendation as to what program will be best for you. All right, so let's jump into this. What is it that you're passionate about? Okay, Scorpio, what is it that you're passionate about? Let's see what wants to come through for you. Okay, here it is. Nice. Okay, so we've got the administrator, and I think Gemini got this as well. And anyway, you'll have to check your your midhaven sign. If you're not sure what that is, guys, go to my description box below and plug in your data. It'll pop up your astrological chart, and your midhaven is abbreviated by MC. And that will allow you to know what that sign is, and be sure you take a look at that video in terms of life purpose for that sign, because it's kind of the tip of the iceberg as it pertains to your career, business, that type of thing. All right, so we got the administrator, and this is really beautiful because this is talking about that you walk between worlds. And what I mean by that is that you have one foot on the earthly plane and the other foot that's on the spiritual plane, and you know how to create communication, harmony, and just this real beautiful alchemy between both worlds for others. And this is beautiful. There is, in terms of this aspect, this is also about being very practical, being very grounded, yes, strong and dedicated, but also being a leader, and as we talked about, being strategic as well. So this is such a beautiful thing to see here. It's kind of like you're your own conductor of between the both worlds, 3D and 5D here. So that's exactly what I'm seeing. So this is beautiful, really, really beautiful. And it's almost as if you create some sort of harmony in this process. It's kind of like I feel that you will really create your own music in as to what that is. But I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I want to find out, I'm going to look at this a little bit deeper, because it looks like that, you really know how to kind of birth new ideas as well. So it is all about, communication and doing what you love. All that blue there is the throat chakra, and that green that you see there, that has to do with the heart chakra. And then, just being the conductor, of your own world. Now, that could be your own business. So for many of you, that could be your own business. It could be also, making music. It could be just, creating your own music for many of you. Okay, composers of, both realms of the world. But this really tells me is that it's about taking responsibility in creating structures. It's like creating practical systems that can really breach the gap of both worlds and really preserve and uplift humanity. And you can see that's exactly what this person is doing there. It's like the birds are singing, there is some magic in the air, and it is because of you. This is about your passion. So this is beautiful. You know you are in like your lower level energies when you become when you take on too much responsibility. So keep that in mind for those of you that are managers and administrators, and directors of some sort in your world or in your industry, in your life or amongst your passion. That's something to really remember. Okay, you don't want to have any sort of limited viewpoint, because that's when you know, and when you take over too much responsibility and you become like a very inner critic. Then you know you're operating on your lower shadow self, and it reminds you, let that remind you to jump up into your soul inspired self, which is really, again, your purpose, which is, grounding yourself, being service oriented and being that leader to persevere and uplift humanity. And what a better, there's no greater time in the world to do that than there is now, I believe. And many of you might be doing that. So I love it. I absolutely love it. What we're going to do is take a look at what it is that you're good at. Okay. So let's take a look at what it is that you're good at. That's what you're passionate about. All right. Let's take a look at what you're good at, and then how we can marry them both. All right. So what it is that you are good at. What is that? Ooh, and I'm glad that I brought up the strategy side and the soul side and what I do, because here's what I get is the strategist, that real, creating some sort of strategy as to where it is that you want to go. So being, being that chess player and being very cognizant of every move that you make, and knowing that if you're going to put your passion into play, that there's a strategy that comes with it. And you are really, really talented at this, is what this talks about. So this is beautiful. And I haven't seen this, come out so far. And I've probably done 7 reads so far. You're my 8th on this. And this just really tells me that it's about being productive, but it's also someone who is not only strategic, but very high achieving. Okay. So that's what I seem to get. It's like every type of vision that you have to create, in your passion, that there is, that every vision has a plan and there's a strategy behind it. And that's really what I see here. It's also being, competitive, systematic, but very passionate too. Okay. It's goal oriented and persisting and keeping going and knowing that is just a part of the game, right? It's just a part of the whole overall process to get what you want, and that type of thing. So I think it's absolutely beautiful. Okay. Now I think that, one of the things to remember here too is that that you are at your lower level energies when you are focusing on being self-centered with yourself, or perhaps when you are focusing on becoming that perfectionist. Okay, so this is saying is that kind of heed that at this moment, and really focus in on knowing that you're a channel for planning, you are a channel for producing, and you are a channel for better ways to really uplift and just bring bring some what's the word that I'm looking for here? It's like bring something worthy to a situation overall, right? Now, many of you might be producers, okay? So I'm just saying this. So this is what's coming up here. So this is really, really beautiful, okay? This is about creating, looking at your passion and taking inspired action. And this is the plan behind it. So just think of it that way. Okay. So one thing to remember too is that you're smart, you're very passionate, you're very decisive, but you're also very technical. Okay. So many of you, again, might be in the producing roles in many different avenues. Okay. So I do see that as well too. Okay. So just really purposeful action. Some of your high value gifts that really make you this beautiful strategist is the fact that you're so self-directed and you are a leader, but you're a productive leader. Okay, so it's not just about just getting something done. It's about getting results. All right, and whatever that looks like for you. Now we're going to move on into what it is how you can combine them. So how can you combine this administrator and the strategist together? Let's see what wants to show up for you here. Okay. And what is your wealth code? Meaning, what is the talents that you have that's going to bring you overall wealth in your life? And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about just overall harmony, right? Overall harmony and happiness in your life that you could do long term. And your life purpose, right? So let's take a look at what that is. So how can you bring them both together? Wow. I get the artist, okay? And, we were just talking about that, kind of become that producer, that creative producer of some sort, someone that's very technical, who can also be an artist, right? You've got a lot of artistic people that are using computer programs in order to make these beautiful works of art, right? And that is an art in itself, as well as music, as well as acting, as well as singing, and any sort of art that you're actually doing. So this is about being creative, okay? And it's doing what you love. It's ruled by Venus, this card. So it is about, focusing on doing what you love and putting into that creativity in that administrator and strategy. You throw in some creativity with that. So we've got the fox here that is incredibly intuitive, little bit tricky, right? Sometimes you don't know what that next move will be, but that's part of the strategist for you, right? Okay. So this is about how you can bring them together in some sort of artistic way. This is about you're being that visionary, right? You are the creator. Some of you might be content creators. Some of you might be writers. Okay, but this is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I love this. I love seeing this, and this just tells me is that to bring them both together, some of you might actually be artists. Okay, and it's beautiful. That for the most part that you are acting in your lower level energies, and I think it's mostly when I think the bigger picture is like when you are undervaluing yourself. Okay, so it wants you to create your vision, whether it's your business or stand by something that you truly believe in, but you do it in a very creative way. So just keep in mind that if you are undervaluing yourself, or you are focused on perfectionism of some sort, that's when you're your shadow side. So to kick this up, this is about just creatively express yourself and connect with the world through what it is that you create. And note your comments below, guys, because I'd like to know, what is it that you're creating? Does this make sense to you? I really appreciate it. So like, subscribe, note your comments below. I'd love to know. So what we're going to move on into is so it's like an artist of some sort. So what you're going to move on into is how do you make this happen? How do you become that artist? What does that look like for you? Okay, let's see what the your wealth code has to say. Let's see here. Oh, wow. Oh boy, this is beautiful. This is about, how to do it. This is about being the magician, right? And this is about having all of the resources necessary. And how to mix, and how to, just conjure up, and how to put pieces together to create magic. Okay, so this is absolutely beautiful. This is telling me, this is talking about, your true north, Rahu. This is talking about how inventive that you are, and how you can use your alchemic, the alchemy in terms of your technical things that you do. So this is really beautiful. You're becoming that wizard, right? That wizard behind the scenes, that wizard that is focused on the passion and can just make something happen. And some people think like, how did you do that? Almost as if that you've had some sort of magic wand that you don't, but it is about being creative and putting forth, knowing how to speak between both worlds and communicate, and bring that in with that strategy. So you've got that groundedness of the strategy, and then be able to speak between both worlds, and then you put that together with creativity. That's what they call a magician, okay? And that's what putting that together looks like. So this is beautiful. I love this. I love this. So it is also about, obviously being intuitive, but it is, you've got this sense of charisma about you, and I'm just putting that out there. So that's something that you need to know. And it's very mind playing, okay? It's very but in a good way. It's kind of like a way that you can really twist things around psychologically in order for something to be perceived as this, okay? And a lot of times, in what we do and in marketing, it's about how someone perceives something, and then get what they need, and get what it is that they want. But so this is quite interesting. Yeah, so I absolutely adore this, okay? This is good. So this tells me that, if this sounds like you guys, note your comments below. Before we go into the advice path, remember that this is also has to do with your crown chakra. All right, so that's going to be very, very big, and you're just definitely an inspiring leader, and you speak the truth, and that's what's going to be very, very important here, okay? You're willing to take on some very difficult challenges, right? Because of the fact you can speak between worlds, you can create magic in a way that is quite artistic. Okay, so that's really, really, really key. Okay, truth is your language here, so that's one thing to keep in mind, and that's what gives you those magician type powers here. You're willing to fight a really good fight, okay, and in a defense, and you're admired by a lot of people as a leader, and you really know how to create and activate, not just about you being in power, but you know how to activate empowerment for not only yourself, but for everyone around you. So that's what I see here. So that's kind of how you can bring it together. So if you're in some sort of creative aspect is kind of what I feel. Let's take a look at what your advice is for your path. What is your advice for your path overall? Let's take a look. I love this. This is so interesting, especially now as we're looking into things like this and seeing kind of, where I'm kind of off balance a little bit. Show me what that looks like. Okay, so what we get is the mystic. Okay, and this is beautiful because this is actually honing in on your spiritual side. All right. So this is more of what I get between, the creativity, the magician, the administrator, speaking between both worlds, knows how to communicate with others. This is adding even more of that spirituality in that. Gosh, I can't believe this, but this is so beautiful. This just shows and signifies the fact that how spiritually wealthy that you are. And so this is about your advice for the path is talking about that. And that's what my roommate's dog's talking about too. But yeah, that's what it's talking about. It's that K2, and this is really about becoming that mystic. So, and then kind of riding on the wings of the universe and knowing that you've got you've kind of can speak with the divine there. So I think that's really cool. So, well, I hope that this resonated with you in some way, shape, or form. A lot of you might be doing some sort of spiritual type of work. Some of you might be focusing on raising consciousness in the world and doing that in a strategic way for an organization, in a technical way, in a very artistic way as well. So that's what really, really seems to come through. So I think it's really, really beautiful. Keep in mind too, though, I do want you to know one thing is that in terms of the mystic, that if you get into out of balance, okay, and you get too much into fantasy or victimhood, then you've gone a little bit too far on the shadow side. So this wants to pull yourself right back up and say, okay, what it is my soul desire is here is that what you want to do is be that channel for those that are looking to, it's almost as if they look to transcend the material world. And wow. That's all I got to say as well, Scorpio. So let me know how this resonates and note your comments below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, namaste.